Welcome to the very first lesson of this course, that is the Burp Suite Community Edition, Bug Hunter's Perspective. In this lesson, we are going to take a walkthrough and have a lab environments configurations where we will be testing for all of this stuff like cross-site scripting, SQL injection, and many other vulnerabilities, and try to find the loopholes inside the web applications, and which kind of web applications will be there throughout the entire course modules we will see in this lesson. So this is the very first one is the PortSwigger and Web Security Academy. We can open up here portswigger.net. So let me go to the home page first, and then we can move to Academy. Here you can just create your account, and it's free of cost, and it doesn't require anything like the card details and anything subscription. It is free and online web security training from the creators of Burp Suite. So this is how and what are the details, like the boost your career, flexible learning, and learn from the experts. What the most I like about this Web Security Academy from the portswigger.net is it is more flexible in learning with learning materials and online labs. All of the online labs and the learning materials are updated frequently. Like you can see the web cache poisoning have been updated with the first to second lab recently, a couple of days back. So we will see that in while we will be downloading the Burp Suite Community Edition, and then we will see the release notes that when it has been released. So this is the actual lab that you will find it most useful and helpful throughout your entire career of bug hunting and testing for web applications insecurities. This is also useful for penetration testers, and obviously most of the penetration testers can use this to enhance their learning and enhance their capabilities of testing. Here we can see all of the things are there. So going back, we can see learning materials and all of the resources that is really helpful, and you will also find it too much useful. So if I am going to test it for Academy, we can see here, and the second one is the budget store that is also free of cost, and here's the URL, that is the budget.herokuapp.com. So this is also free and really vulnerable site where we can test for several applications or the injection related vulnerabilities, cross-site scripting, and many other loopholes. But mostly you will find the useful the Web Security Academy from the portswigger.net. So this is a recommendation that you just before going to start this lesson or downloading this any sort of applications like the Burp Suite Community Edition, you just create your account here. This is free of cost always, and here we can see all of the learning materials, and then we will see the labs. So for the web cache poisoning, we can see here. For others like the authentication, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, we can see the stored one. So here's every details will be available, and you can also see like the labs. You can just click here, and you will reach at the page of lab to access that. Most important thing is that it is also valuable for who is going to or aspiring bug bounty hunters. Like you will see the solution here, that how it will be actually completed by you. So if I'm going to access the lab here, lab has been opened, and now we can attack according to the description or according to the vulnerability of this page. And here we can see the lab is not solved. Once you solve this lab, it will be marked as solved. Going back, we can also see the solution. Alright, so now move to the lab that is all over here. All the labs, and it will only show the labs if it is solved by you or not. So all of these things are in categorized manner, like the SQL injection, XSS, and clickjacking, cross-searching, and a lot more. So over hundreds of labs are there. You can go and start testing for. You will also track your progress here, like the learning materials that you have reached and opened the link and learned. And the second one is the vulnerability labs, that how much vulnerabilities you have uncovered and solved the lab. You will also get the label of apprentice, practitioner, and the expert. Now this is all about the labs that you will be using, and you will find it useful, too much useful actually. Moving to the budget store, this is a simple website having the vulnerabilities and the lots of vulnerabilities that will be beneficial in testing using the Burp Suite Community Edition. This last one is we are going to install the Burp Suite inside the system. So for going to download, go to product page, and for this we can go to Community Edition, download the latest version. Alright, so in this entire course we will be using the Burp Suite Community Edition. The reason is simple. Most of the people or the aspiring bug bounty hunters will not be able to buy a new one product like the Burp Suite Pro Edition because it costs $350. We can see here. Yeah, it actually costs $399 USD. So it will be better you start with the Community Edition, or if you can afford, you can download and I mean to say you can get a copy of Burp Suite Pro Edition after buying and paying $399 US. Alright, so I will not go to out of Community Edition. I will just simply download the latest version of this course. I mean to say this tool. And here we can see Burp Suite Community Edition. Choose for the platform on which you are going to install it, like the Mac OS X. So I have already installed inside the Mac. Here we can see this is the Burp Suite Community Edition. And here's others like the Linux 64-bit, Windows 64-bit, and the jar file. So jar file have the more control over how the memory allocation will be there, like how much amount of memory, like the RAM, you want to assign for that Burp Suite Community Edition. That is better if you want to take a control over how the memory is assigned and what amount of memory your system have. So for jar, I have already downloaded and installed both of these versions, like the jar and the Mac OS X. Alright, now moving to start the Burp Suite from the command line, like the jar file. So for that I am going to start the command line here. Move to the folder where it has been downloaded, and then start the Java. Alright, so you need to have the Java installed, like the latest Java installed inside your system, so that because the jar file is the Java based, and it will require the Java to be installed inside the system regardless of any system, any platform you are using, like the Windows, Linux, or Mac OS X. So for the Java, the command is Java jar xmx and the amount of memory in gigabytes, kilobytes, or megabytes. So in simple words, this command actually says the actual heap size or the memory allocation for this tool is 2 gigabytes of, or the 2 GB of RAM. So this is the maximum. MX stands for maximum here. We can also put in this way, like the 2048K. So this will be, I mean to say, this is MB, megabytes, not the kilobytes. So this will be in also the 2 GB, but in a simple we can go for 2 GB, and now provide the Burp Suite downloaded file here. Hit the enter and it will be started. So this is the actual command that gives you the complete control over how the memory you want to allocate for this particular application, in this case the Burp Suite Community Edition. This is really important if your system has lesser memory, or if you want to don't go beyond the limit of Burp Suite assigned. Like if your system have the 16 gigs of or 32 gigabytes of memory or the RAM, then you can assign it for 8 GB, 4 GB or higher as per your demand or as per your need. So here it has been started. Start it. And that's all. Now we can see here the memory that it is gathering at this time. So it have consumed 70.7 MB of the memory out of 2 GB, and the disk space that it have assigned or it has been consumed so far is the 32 kilobytes. So that's how we can start, and what the lab configurations that we can actually work for is. So apart from these labs, throughout the entire course we will be using different labs or the different online setups or the online web applications that might be vulnerable, or in some cases that might not be vulnerable, but mostly it will be vulnerable and it have some kind of loopholes, so that we can test for and check for how Burp Suite can be used as a bug bounty hunters for effective testing, and you utilize every aspect of Burp Suite power and the potential, so that you will find more bugs, and yeah, obviously the testing will be at higher side. So before going to start, install it inside your system depending upon your platform details, and here's the online lab. And the most important point is that every lab will be at online site, so you do not need to install any kind of virtual machines or any kind of or any sort of applications inside your system. And this is best part, as it will not eat up your all of the memory for a single application. So before going to start, just install it, Burp Suite, and create an account over the Portswigger Web Security Academy. And Budget Store doesn't have to do anything, just open it up and create your account by going to login and register now. So that's all for this lesson. See you in the next lessons. Alright, so since now we have already installed the Burp Suite, and we have also taken a walkthrough of the Burp Suite, now it's time to start and fire up the Burp Suite and install the CS certificate over the other browsers if you want to so. But since the release of version 2020.8, it have inbuilt Chromium browser. Like here you can see the open browser options, and just open it up here and it will be opened. To verify this if it is Chromium or not, we can see here about Chromium. There is the option to see about the Chromium things. So this is the Chromium. You don't need to configure anything like the CS certificate and any other incoming or outgoing connections, and any no trust issues will be there if you are testing for SSL or the TLS site. For example, if I want to open up the facebook.com, that is really I mean to say that is SSL based or the TLS based, so it will also open up. Instead, you can see it is showing that not secure because of the proxy is in mean and it is capturing all the request. So this is not the error exactly, but this will not trouble you or not create anything anything trouble while using for SSL based or TLS based. We can also open the PayPal like this here, and it will open up with no issues. But in some of the cases, if you want to use the CS certificate in your favorite browser like the Firefox or other browsers if you trust and you use most widely, then you can go to a proxy options, and here you can see import export CS certificate or regenerate a CS certificate. So for example, if you want to import or export the CS certificate for uses on the different browser, for example Firefox. So if I want to use it in a browser installation inside browser, then I will export this certificate in DER format. Click next and choose a file to export the CS certificate. This certificate can also be used on another installation of Burp Suite or for uses in another tools that requires integration with the Burp Suite. And so just to import the CS certificate and the private key in a DER format, and that's all. It will be used for TLS negotiation and the negotiating the TLS connections. And if you want to regenerate the CS certificate, you can just click here and it will be regenerated. Now for the option, if I want to install inside the Burp Suite, then what I can do? So simply open up the Burp Suite here and then open up the Firefox. Configure your proxy to listen on localhost and the 8080. That is the by default configured inside the Burp Suite. But you need to configure your Firefox browser. In this case, if I am going to use the Firefox browser. So here I am using the Foxy proxy, that is the proxy management tool. But still, if you want to use and configure by going to settings, go to preferences here. Then simply search for proxy and it will take you to that page directly. So here's the network connections. Let me show you once again. Search for proxy or the network connections, or it will be at the bottom of the page. Like here we can see network settings. Go to settings, and as there is no any proxy settings configured here, we can go to manual proxy configurations and put the IP address, this one, and the port 8080 on which the Burp Suite is listening on. That is, they must remember that the same IP address and the same port must be configured inside the browser. So as this time I am using the Foxy proxy, I will not use that and cancel this. And now I will go to HTTP and then go to Burp Suite and CER here. Alright, so there is a missing T. Alright, so it will give you the option to download the CS certificate, or in a more concise things, we can go to only Burp, HTTP Burp, and it will show the option and greet with a welcome to Burp Suite Community Edition. We can see here, and here is the CS certificate option that you can just click and it will give you the same option to download. So what you can do is just save this and cscert.der, it has been saved. Now what you can do is just go to same preferences. Remember, this is only for the Firefox. Every browser have the different options to preferences or the settings page where the same things can be achieved. But for this Firefox, mostly people use Firefox, and this is all what I recommend to use this because of security things. So from here, now you can go to search for CS certificate where it can be installed. So if I am going to search for CS certificate, we can see going to privacy and security, certificates, and Here you can see view certificates. Now from here you can install the same certificate CourseSnip.der that we already recently downloaded from this page, like this one, and it has been saved to the download folders. Alright, so from here you can install the same certificate that we downloaded from the browser previously. Go to authorities, import, and here the CourseSnip.der that we downloaded recently. So this one might be because the number one and CourseSnip.der was already installed, and here we can see the date. For this is the today and with the timestamp. You can just open it up and it will be installed. Now it will automatically fetch and trust the SSL based site, SSL or the TLS based site, like the Facebook, Google, and everything, every site having the security or the TLS SSL, and all those sites who comply with the SSL and the TLS. So that's how we can install it. You can alternatively download the Foxy proxy, install the extension of the Firefox, and then you can configure it using the options here, as I have done for the Wasp Zap and the Burp Suite. So the same might be there, and you can do so too. Alright, so now it has been configured and the certificate has been installed. But from the latest version, we don't need to do so because it have already the browser. And that browser is also running inside a sandboxed manner. So now what the sandbox is? Sandbox is the complete isolated environment where that browser will be running, and it will not interfere with other applications or the network traffic. We will talk about it more later in upcoming lessons. But for now, that's all for installation of CS certificate. Just open up the browser and search for any URL. It will be working fine. See you in the next lessons.